This is another archival upload of my previous mix critique videos. Again, I apologize for the vertical format that this video is about to switch to. This is 116 through 120. The song was sent in by George. Sounds pretty good so far. Good balance across frequency spectrum. I do wish there was a little more bass, but it's just the intro, so I'm sure that'll kick in a minute. But so far it sounds pretty good. Okay, we're getting to like 45 seconds of intro in 4.5 minute song. That's a little much. Something interesting needs to happen like now. Okay. You made me wait 50 seconds for anything else to happen. And when it finally did, it was the fakest sounding drums of all time. They're not mixed well. They sound like samples. Like, they don't even sound like good samples. So far, I'm very disappointed. Alright, I'm not listening to any more of this. The guitar tones are pretty solid. All the washy synth pad stuff. Like, you have a really good soundscape here, but it took way too long for anything to actually happen, and when it did, it was the most disappointing thing ever. Write shorter songs, get better sounding drums, make things interesting. The song was sent in by Andrew. Alright, right away, it's super muddy. You have way too many low mid frequencies and everything overlapping over each other. You gotta go through each instrument and take out whatever sounds the muddiest in each one, clean up that low mid range a little bit. The vocals are also way too loud over the whole mix. Like, the vocals don't sound like they're part of the song at all. You gotta mix those down more or bring everything else up more. The drums are a little too room heavy. You're not getting enough of the actual attack out of each of the drums. Yeah, it sounds like you need to fix the compressor settings on your drums too, because it sounds like you have the attack set way too fast. Like, you need a slow-ish attack when you're compressing drums, because you need the transient to actually cut through. The way you have it set right now, the transient is just being killed immediately when the compressor kicks on, because it's kicking on way too fast. Alright, so the one redeeming quality of this mix was the vocal effects. The vocals actually sounded really cool. Only problem is they were just way too far over the top of everything. Like I said in many of the most recent mix critiques, you need to spend more time balancing your faders before you mess with EQ. When you do mess with EQ, you gotta fix that mud. You gotta find some low mid frequencies to notch out of certain things to clean that up. And you gotta fix your drum compressor settings, because you're completely just destroying the transient of your drums, and the transient is like the whole point of the drums. The song was sent in by Alan. So we're going right for the Mr. Crowley ripoff. Got it. All right, all jokes aside, whatever impact you have in the background of that intro part is really muddy. Like, every time it hits, it just sounds like a wet fart. The drums in general sound fake as fuck, but especially the kick drum, like, it sounds like you just 127'd everything. Like, it doesn't sound real at all, and it's overpowering everything else in the mix. Yeah, dude, all I can hear is kick drum and cymbals. Like, I can barely hear the guitars. I can't even really hear the snare. Also, your guitars are out of tune, and they're very harsh in the upper mids. Okay, alright. I thought my headache had gone away for the day, but that sustain there, that very out of tune, very harsh sustain there, definitely just brought it back. Work on your guitar tones. When you're tracking guitar, fucking tune them, please. For the love of God, tune your fucking guitars, guys. Like, this is like day one stuff. Your music should be in tune. Fix your guitar tones. Make your drums not sound so fake. Work on balancing the faders before you touch any processing. This track was sent in by Miles. All right, so this sounds pretty good so far. What I'm noticing mostly is it's a little lacking in the low mids. Sounds like you have a good amount of sub information, but the low mids themselves is where most of the energy is going to come from on most playback systems. The other thing is it sounds like you might be pushing the master level a little too hard. It sounds like it's just a little overcompressed on the way out, but other than those two things, it sounds pretty good so far. It might not be your master, it might just be your drums are a little overcompressed. They sound a little dead compared to what they should be. I mean, with the kick drum, you're going to have to EQ out some of those boxy frequencies, but other than that, with the compression, I think you just need to adjust your attack settings on the compressor. All right, so that wasn't bad overall, Miles. I think, like I said, the biggest things are you're overcompressing the drums, so we're losing a lot of the attack of those. The other thing is you're missing a lot of energy in the low mids, and that might actually just be a result of you needing to sculpt the low mids a little better. I think there's probably too many things going on in that frequency region that it's kind of just becoming a block. Like, it's weird because it didn't really sound all that muddy, but like it just sounded too consistent, I think is really the thing. And you want the low mids to pump just a little bit. So I think if you sculpt the low mids and all your instruments a little bit better, then we'll have a little bit more energy because we'll feel more of the actual flow and the rhythm of the track in that frequency range. This track was sent in by Colin. So the first thing I'm hearing is there's not nearly enough low end in this track. Like, everything sounds pretty good tonally. Like, it sounds like you got really good source tones and everything, but the whole track feels like it's lacking energy because there's not enough low end. Like, especially like the kick drum and the bass, like we need to feel way more energy, especially for this genre of music. Like, you need a really solid low end to give the energy the track needs. The vocals sound really good, especially with that octave layered over it. Like, that sounds awesome. All right, so that wasn't bad, Colin. Couple things, though. First of all, you have a little too much reverb on everything. You gotta bring the reverb out some. I think the reason you put so much reverb on it is because you were trying to gel things together, and that's another point I have is you need more mix bus compression to really glue things together, like add a little bit of movement to everything. But the biggest thing overall is just the overall lack of low end in everything. Like, honestly, you should just go in there and just like crank the bass, crank the low end of the kick drum, like add some more low end to the track overall, because that's what's going to give the track the energy that a song like this needs.